there, and welcome to episode 6 of Practice Your Positive Daily, the podcast. Week 2, baby. How are you feeling? Did you show up every day last week at the Positivity Gym with me? Last week, we talked about you assessing your own feelings fitness level, whether you were negative, neutral, or positive. And we also talked about setting your own goal, perhaps, for where you'd like to be, right? All of this is an inside job. So I won't tell you what to do. You know you. I'm going to offer suggestions. You take it and make it work for you. What doesn't fit, just let it go. We also talked about the power of games and sports and how that brings out the best in us, and how as we optimize our individual performance, we connect to a cooperative same team, and that those team dynamics on a sport or playing a game are just really magical. We want to recreate that in our mindset in our daily life. I also asked you about taking a challenge to increase your movement by 10% more movement. That was me. I did. I'm going to confess, I was very good last week. I was very good about setting alarms and standing up and stretching and just walking around. And so that was my 10% more. I'd love to hear what your 10% more was. And again, we're starting to train our minds and our bodies, right? We're seeing this two-way street between our mental and physical wellness. And that's what we're starting. And then I closed on Friday with a vibe check, talking about checking in on yourself and meeting your own needs. If you missed any of that, if any of it sounds interesting, you're just joining today, flip back to next week. They're all there. And so today we're talking about belief, believing you can grow more positive, believing you can do better, get better, feel better. Feel better. Belief is relief. Believe you can. And so last week when we talked about games and practicing, I introduced the idea of this growth mindset. So I have a school-age child and I love it. This is something that I think the kids are and more teachers are kind of being brought up with. This wasn't necessarily available to me when I was a kiddo, but I love it. This idea of this growth mindset, right? And a growth mindset is that we can learn anything, right? That we are always a new dog who can always learn new tricks. And the difference in actively rooting in a growth mindset and pursuing a positive mindset and just kind of stumbling upon it are vastly different. And that's the way, I like to talk about my own personal experiences, right? That's how I was most of my life. I considered myself a naturally happy and upbeat person, but I was very reactive. I was a positive person unless things didn't go my way, or unless someone said something mean to me, or unless I didn't meet my goal. And I was positive as long as everybody did what I wanted, when I wanted, the way I wanted, and everything went my way. I know it seems kind of silly, but right, think about that. That's how a lot of us, kind of operate. That I am a positive person. It's everybody else. It's all this stuff that gets in my way. And I'm just here to gently remind you that that is the suchness of life. Just as a blind squirrel every now and then finds a nut. Don't wait to stumble across a good mood. Don't wait for the stars to align, the kids to act normal, your spouse to, put the dishes away. Don't wait for those conditions to feel good, to feel happy, to feel positive about your life, positive about where you're going. I know that when I had those swings, right, I would go from being way happy to way not happy, right? The pendulum swang, I used to say, the pendulum swings as far in one direction as it does in the other. And, that's hard. It was hard on me, but it was hard on the people in my life, right? This is where, that phrase like walking on eggshells, or, oh, she's moody, or, oh, you just never know, right? And I think sometimes we misinterpret that as the person has an external negativity. But for me, it was really that I had a deeply internal negativity, that I really wanted to be a positive person, but gosh darn it, things just weren't working out for that. And so once I rooted my mindset in the same way that I rooted my mindset for games or sports or anything I got better at by practicing, once I had that growth mindset with my positive mindset, it really made all the difference, right? It went from occasionally happening when everything turned out okay to being able to maintain that, right? And then being able to maintain that even when things went poorly, even when things went really poorly. There's that internal set that I know I can do this. And so today, that growth mindset, that's what you're going to do. That's the assignment for today. Is I'm going to give you some growth mindset affirmations. Yes, we're doing affirmations. Yes, we're right. We're replacing what we have going on in our brain with good stuff. And if we put enough good stuff in our mind, in our hearts, in our life, there just won't be room for the negative. And so we're going to focus on the positive in that way. So growth affirmations, here they are. I can learn anything. I don't know that yet. I love yet, right? Yet. I haven't done that yet. I don't know that yet. I'm always improving. Challenges help me grow. I enjoy learning. Progress, not perfection. It's not embarrassing to be seen trying. I love that one, especially for this whole new podcast and gig. It's not embarrassing. It's not embarrassing to be seen trying. I can do hard things and I'm enough. So if you have to, hit the back button, listen to those again. Think of, pick out one that kind of speaks to you that you wish your internal self would say to yourself when you were going through it. And I'm going to share one more little play from the coach's playbook here is you might need something before that growth affirmation, right? If you have a negative self-talk in your brain, if you have a history, a cycle, kind of a default way that you talk to yourself that is maybe less than kind, less than positive, you might need something before that. So I'll share my something. My something. When things don't go the way I expect them to, or the way I want them to, my rule number one, don't freak out. And I actually say this out loud now. The air conditioner's not working. I live in Florida. It's super hot. I say, rule number one, don't freak out. That's enough to kind of take a little bit of steam off, remind myself that I'm not going to let my emotions get the best of my logic and analytical mind, and that they're not going to override me. And then I can go to a growth affirmation, right? Then I can say that, I've had hard things in the past and I've gotten through them. I'll be able to figure out a way for this too, right? So think of a growth affirmation. Think of something that you can tell yourself that makes it okay when you are practicing, right? Something that makes it okay in your mind, that sounds good, that makes you feel good. And if you need a first rule, if you need something to take some of the emotion out of it first, check in with yourself, like we did last week. Check in with yourself. What do I need? I need a calm mind. I need a moment's peace. I need some patience. Check in, give that to yourself, and then think about that. And remember, there are fewer barriers in your life if you believe there are fewer barriers in your life. So when you let go of, I'm not that kind of person, I've never done that, I don't know, I have this, I've never been able to, the more barriers you put there, the more that you have to go through. And so I suggest don't give yourself more barriers, right? Don't give yourself more things, more hangups. Focus on, I can learn anything. I can do hard things. I've done this before. I know I got this. I haven't learned this yet. Okay. Practice your growth mindset affirmation as you go through the week, at work, at home, in your fitness life, with your friends. Work on those growth affirmations. Again, we're priming your mind. We're getting ourselves in the groove that I can grow. I can change. Believe you can. That's it. Oh, so this is so hard. Is this what you thought it was going to be? I love it. Okay. I love you. I will see you tomorrow.